You're listening to the Plane Talking UK podcast, a UK-based podcast written by a passenger for anyone. And here are your hosts, Carl Stebbings and Matt Smith.
Well, hello, good morning, and welcome to episode 107 of the Plane Talking UK podcast. I'm Carl Stebbings, and joining me back in my kitchen studio after his sunny break in the Highlands.
Sunny breaks. Have you ever been to Scotland? Sunny break.
I know, he's still got the goosebumps now.
I know.
Hello, Matt. Morning.
I worry about your mental health sometimes.
Yes,
hello. It's nice to be back in the studio. I've had a very nice breakfast, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I have to be
He
honest.
is here, look. He's
yeah,
here.
no, sorry, hang on. I'm pressing button. Oh, look, I've forgotten how
There
to
we
do
go.
it, all
He's
right?
there, he's there.
We should have had Bert here. He was much better at it than I was. Yes, no, we're back. Yes, back in the kitchen studio. I've had a lovely breakfast this morning. Very nice.
He has, yeah. I was slaving over the cooker
I know.
when Mac turned up this morning.
Indeed, yes. He had his pinny on and everything.
I had it. Yeah, I did have an apron on.
Yeah, it was very, very special.
Yeah.
Indeed, but enough about me.
Not about me. So, good morning, everyone who's joined us this morning in the chat room. It's the 9th of April.
It is
And
all
it's,
day.
It's
Yes.
all day, yeah, all day.
Yeah.
And it's 7 minutes past 10 in the morning.
It is.
We've got a chat room filling up nicely, actually.
Yeah.
Morning to everyone who's joined us in the chat room. I just clicked on the wrong button. There we go.
Good.
There we go. Micah's in the chat room. And we've got
Ryan Harper. That's
Ryan
you.
Harper, the lovely Mila.
Hello. Yes.
Yes. That's what you were going to say, but it's Mila. She's in the chat room, bless her. I know. I beat you to it.
You're horrible. Why?
Shorts in the
Just
in the
throw me under the
chat
bus.
room.
Why don't you?
I know. Micah, the main man, Micah's in the
Yes.
chat room as well. David Corson's in the chat room.
Stuart.
Ryan. Who's this Ryan?
I know.
Who's
you,
Ryan
you.
Harper?
Absolutely. Hello, Ryan.
Hello,
Stuart
Ryan.
is in the.
Shorts in the chat room.
Is it Stuart or Short?
Short. Backer is in
Is
the
it
chat
my
room. I
apologies.
know. We need to get these
I'm terrible
pronunciations
at names.
right.
What I need is our regular listeners. I need a list. Up on the wall, spelt phonetically, so that I don't get it wrong every single week. Yes, I'm going to get into so much trouble, aren't I?
Right, so welcome to all you guys in the chat room, and also thanks if you're listening to us in the audio version. You've downloaded us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for downloading us, and we've got a news-packed show, and we have got a very special guest on the show this week, and she is a pilot, and she does fly. She flies a plane very similar to me, actually.
Right.
Okay. She does fly a plane, and she's sometimes in the chat room every now and again.
Is she?
Yeah,
Yes.
she does make
In fact,
an
she's in there
appearance
at the
chat
moment,
room. She's in the chat room now, actually.
Absolutely.
So, welcome on to the show, the lovely Mila.
Hi.
Hello. Good morning, Mila.
Good morning.
And how are things with you across the? We can't say pond. It's across the.
It's not a pond, is it?
It's
No.
the river.
The river, honestly. Yes.
How are things across the sea there, anyway?
Pretty good, actually. The weather's really nice. It's like a good day for flying.
Really?
Oh,
If I could, I'd go out there.
Stark contrast to here, then. It's wet and horrible. Welcome to the UK. No, yes.
No, it's lovely to have you on, Mila. Thank you for coming on this morning. And we thought we need to have some women pilots on the show.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Girl power.
The
Yeah.
girl power and all that. Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, pleasure.
Great. And like I said, we've got lots of news to get through. We have got a segment as well from Pilot Pip. Yay! Pip sent us in a segment. Pip is where is Pip today? I did get a message from Pip
somewhere
this morning.
foreign, isn't he? He's in foreign
Pip
parts.
is in. I'm just flicking through my message here. I should have remembered. Really.
You should have done it. It was only like
Oh
an
yeah, here we
hour
go.
ago.
Pip is actually in Stockholm, in
Excellent.
Sweden,
Ah,
today.
lovely. Yes.
But he has managed to send us in a segment for the show, and he's talking about landings on roads and stuff.
Yeah,
which is
absolutely.
quite
Yeah.
interesting,
So if
actually,
you
'cause we don't
can't get
that in
onto
the
a run,
UK.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
can't get
yeah.
onto a runway. Actually, while we're in that note, I would like to say if you are listening to this on the audio version, obviously all the video, or you're watching it on catch up, as I call it, so you're either listening to it as a podcast or on catch up. Next week's show is going to be a little bit special because we're going to do it actually on Sunday.
Yeah.
We're going to do it
Yeah.
next Sunday, and the reason for that is Pip has very kindly agreed, because many of you may know that Pip is doing the London Marathon next
I'm exhausted
Sunday.
now.
I am
Stop.
exhausted just thinking about it, it has to be said. So if you are able to join us next Sunday via the usual link and you want to join us live, it is www.youtube.com/planetalkinguk/live. That's how you get to it. We're going to be linking up with Pip live while he's doing his marathon, and I am pretty sure that all of your encouragement will be very much greatly appreciated. So if you can join us for that, it's going to be a bit of a special show because he's lost his marbles and he's doing a marathon.
But we will hopefully be linking up with Pip, like we said, and doing having Pip on the show. I don't think he's going to bring a segment.
No,
to us
I don't think so.
on the marathon.
I think he's got enough on his plate.
Too much to ask, really. It would be a good safety segment, though.
It would.
What not to do when you're doing the London Marathon.
London Marathon, perhaps doing a podcast while you're doing the London Marathon.
But that'll be great. I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
So that's on Sunday. So next week we are recording on Sunday morning. So make sure you put that in your diary.
Absolutely.
We've also got a little bit of voice feedback as well from one of our listeners to play out as well, and all the usual military news and a little bit of info on some of the air shows that are happening around near us actually this month and stuff. So that's all good. Yeah. So we better kick off, really, I suppose, haven't we?
We ought
with,
to, really.
with some
Yes,
news. So we're going to start the show then, as we do each week, with our rundown of the weekly news from around the world and the UK. So if you're ready, Matt.
Yes, I am very much ready.
And Mila, are you ready to go?
Absolutely.
Let's go. So kicking off this first news story on this week's show then, it's actually a story that has come to my attention this week, and it's regarding a certain chap that I actually work with.
Yeah.
And he recently, or actually beginning of this week, came back from Hamburg in Germany.
Okay.
And he flew back from Hamburg into London Luton Airport with EasyJet. And he had a rather nasty experience when his case came round on the carousel.
On the carousel, oh blimey.
Well, he actually came back. Was it on early Monday morning? He was delayed getting back into the UK.
Yeah.
Anyway, for some issue or other. But when his luggage, his suitcase, came round the carousel, he was actually greeted by something that wasn't resembling his suitcase. Right. Now we're going to put the pictures up on the screen.
All right.
So those of you in the chat room will be able to see these pictures here on the screen. Now this is the first shot we have here.
Yeah.
This is his suitcase. This is a hard shell suitcase.
And that's the thing that surprised me when I saw these pictures here, because I mean you sort of think it might get a little bit scuffed in places. But I mean this has been absolutely trashed.
I mean, Matt will scroll through the photos here. This is there's another shot here. There's the main handle, the main trolley handle, which you extend to pull the case along.
Wow.
On the suitcase.
So he was flying with EasyJet?
He was flying with EasyJet, from Hamburg into London Luton. Okay. When he obviously checked the suitcase in at Hamburg, there we go, there's a picture there of the carousel at Luton.
My goodness me.
The case was actually obviously in one piece.
It's literally split down the side, isn't it? It's gone completely down. Oh, my goodness me.
Now, I mean, he was obviously not very happy with this.
I can imagine. And he can be quite cross at the best of times.
Yes, but he wasn't happy with this. He went to the EasyJet desk to see about getting it, sorted out. But there was such a queue of people, and because they were delayed getting in anyway, he kind of sort of said, "Worry, I'll leave it and sort it out." So he actually went on Twitter.
Yep.
And sent a tweet to, I think, 3 of EasyJet's accounts. I forget which ones are. And this was on Monday.
Yeah.
And they finally got back to him yesterday.
Oh, right. Okay.
Which was Friday.
Very speedy response then. Because he's been home
slow.
nearly a week, hasn't he?
Yeah, he got back on Monday. But it's a very slow response time, really. And, I mean, they've what they've done, they've sent him. I mean, look at that. I mean, that is just... to me, it looks... If I was going to suggest what might have happened here, I'd have said it fell off the baggage cart, the trolley, the truck, and I think if I had to say, I think it's been run over.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, because these are quite robust. These things. I mean, did he have anything in there that was of any?
Yeah. He actually he had a quite a nice glass tankard, which he'd got from where he was staying.
Yeah.
and that had smashed inside the case and had covered all his clothing in glass.
Really?
Glass shards,
Okay.
which is not good either.
Which isn't well. So yes, okay. That's not. No, that's really.
But
quite-
that's probably the worst
never seen a
damage I've
case like
seen to
that
a
before.
suitcase.
Yeah.
I think in my I've never
Yeah.
seen a suitcase
You-
that badly damaged.
You
before.
kind of assume if it's a hard suitcase like that you might get a few scuffs if it's had a bit
Yeah.
of a rough journey, sort of getting onto the carousel or whatever. And I mean, we've all seen the pictures on YouTube and things like that, videos and stuff of the way that suitcases have been treated, sort of behind the scenes, if you like. But I don't think I've ever seen a case like that.
What do you think about this, then, Mila? What are your thoughts on this? You can see the pictures there.
Yeah, well, actually, what I was thinking was the exact same thing. It looks like it's been run over
Mm,
or got caught between something really strong.
yeah.
I don't know, but those guys throw the suitcases around, and they get,
Yeah.
thrown with. So, they can withstand some forces, but this is just
I mean, this is a very
crazy.
extreme. This is
and the fact that it took them a week to get back to him. I mean, that's
Yeah.
absurd.
it's not acceptable, is it? There's no two ways
No,
about it.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Not.
No, it's very.
Not
It's
But
very
they've emailed what they've done. They've contacted him and they've sent him a link to click on where he's got to fill in a claims return form. I mean, I know what these things are like. They take ages to get sorted and done
Yeah.
and processed. And he sent the pictures that we've got here, the ones that he sent me. He actually sent those pictures to EasyJet, via, through the Twitter feed and
Right,
stuff.
yeah.
So they've got concrete evidence there. I mean,
Yeah.
he even had the tag as well with all the flight number. And what a lot of people don't realise as well is that on the reverse of those baggage tags that you have on your suitcase, if you look, there's a kind of disclaimer form on the back. And when the person checks your suitcase in,
Yeah.
the service air person on the actual check-in desk.
Yeah.
On the back, there's actually a thing they have to tick. If there's any visible damage on the suitcase when you check your case in,
Right.
they have to check, obviously look and tick on the boxes where the damage is and sign it off. So obviously they've got no liability for
Okay,
damage.
right.
But obviously none of these boxes were checked and there was nothing written on because the suitcase was in one piece when he checked it in.
Really.
So it'll be interesting to see what he gets,
what the outcome is.
what the outcome is of this. But I
Yeah.
will find out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Keep us posted on that one. It's really,
Yeah.
it's really not acceptable in any way.
Morning
shape, or form,
to Tony and Pip as well. Pip's just popped in the chat room. Good morning to you, Pip. Hope your flight goes well.
Indeed.
So the next news story
Yep.
is on the Breaking Travel news site, and Qatar Airways flies into Birmingham, UK. So Qatar Airways has inaugurated the airline's fourth United Kingdom gateway with direct flights between Doha and Birmingham, connecting the city with more than 150 destinations worldwide. The inaugural flight touched down at sunrise and was greeted by a traditional water salute, witnessed by a crowd of media gathered while Qatar Airways Chief Commercial Officer Hugh Dunleavy, who travelled on board the inaugural flight with the UK Ambassador to Qatar, Ajay Samar, was greeted at the arrival gate by Birmingham Airport Chief Executive Paul Kehoe. The addition of a Birmingham marks the fourth UK gateway for Qatar Airways after London, Heathrow, Manchester and Edinburgh. With 8 weekly services operated by Boeing, the 787 Dreamliner aircraft. Qatar Airways Group Chief Executive Akbar Al-Baker said that we are delighted to commence services to Birmingham, our fourth UK gateway. The vibrant and economical powerful region represents an important addition to our worldwide network and is a testament to our commitment to the UK passengers that now have access to over 150 global destinations accessed via 73 flights per week from the UK. Qatar Airways now operates 73 flights per week to the UK, with 42 flights per week to London Heathrow, 16 to Manchester and 7 to Edinburgh, and also 8 to Birmingham from its state-of-the-art hub in Hamad International Airport. This is great news because Qatar is we've flown with those once.
Have you?
Yeah, through the A330 with Qatar, and they're very, very nice airline indeed. Very, very well run.
I should just say, actually, while we're in there, we've got. I'll just say good morning to Jimbo Fraser, my very kind
Oh,
host
good morning,
from last
Jimbo.
week. You may remember him if you saw last week's video podcast, because he was the one sort of jogging in the background trying to keep warm.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, morning, Jimbo. Thank you very much for a fantastic week. Not looking so pretty now. Hey, there's no need for that. He's being horrible.
Oh,
he is being horrible.
So, Mila, have you flown with any of the sort of the Emirate type airlines, Qatar, Emirates, or Etihad?
No. I haven't been that fortunate yet.
No,
But
No, me neither.
but you'd like to.
I'd love to.
Yeah, good. Actually, just go on off that. I was looking at the flight prices, to go to Dubai, and the prices are really good at the moment.
Are they?
Yeah. The prices have come down a lot in the last few. Yeah,
Oh, that's
to
good.
Dubai.
Okay.
So next story. Moving on.
Next story, yes, this is also on the Breaking Travel News website, and it is the headline: Ryanair, really? There's a shock. I've got the Ryanair story. Ryanair welcomes the latest Boeing 737-800 milestone. So this is a bit of good news for Ryanair. Boeing and Ryanair have marked the latest milestone in their partnership with the delivery of the airline's 400th next generation 737-800. The Irish low-cost carrier operates the largest fleet of next generation 737-800s in the world. The Boeing 737-800, could they put 737-800 in a story anymore? With its industry-leading technical reliability and seating capacity, has been the foundation upon which our successful and safe growth has been built upon since we took our first delivery in March 1999, says Ryanair Chief Operations Officer Michael Hickney. We are delighted to be now taking delivery of our 400th 737-800, which includes the new Boeing Sky interior and slimline seats, offering extra legroom and an enhanced customer experience as part of our Always Getting Better program. Ryanair pioneered the low-cost model in Europe more than 30 years ago, with the next generation 737-800 providing the optimal platform for its continued growth. Ryanair is the largest Boeing operator in Europe, with more than 1,800 daily flights carrying 106 million passengers annually to more than 30 countries. A key factor in Ryanair's continued success is the outstanding economics of the next generation 737-800, said Monty Oliver, who is the Vice President of European Sales, Boeing Commercial Airlines. This 400th 737 delivery is a special milestone for both our companies, and we are honoured that Ryanair continues to be an all-Boeing operator. Ryanair has more than 130 unfilled orders for the next generation 737-800, and is also the launch customer for the 737 MAX 200. Now, what's the difference? What's the MAX 200?
Yeah, they're going to be the launch customer for that. The Max 200, I think, is a slightly larger version of the. It's a 737 Max 200. They've got 100 of those on order. They can carry 197 passengers.
Right, okay.
Which is slightly more than the 189 that the 800 does, the Dash 8.
Okay.
It's an extra. What's that? 89 to 97 is what's that in English? That's eight more passengers.
Not 8 or 9, but yeah.
8 passengers. Yeah,
excellent.
8 passengers.
Yes, maths was never
my
your
maths
strong
was never
point,
my strong point.
No,
No.
indeed.
Yeah. No, they've got those. They've got those on order. Yeah, so that's
and
good.
it's quite rare, actually, isn't it, for a carrier to be purely one plane, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of airlines. Sorry, I can't remember words out here. Let's just drink.
What's in your tea?
A lot of airlines do prefer to have one aircraft, type of aircraft in their fleet because it just makes more sense.
Yeah, it does make
cost
more
effective.
Sense. Yeah. You're carrying the same set of spares, for example, if they're all 737-800s.
But also, don't forget, like we covered a few weeks back, and Ryanair do also have that Dash 700. Which is their corporate charter one that they do. We covered that in a few stories earlier, didn't we? Yeah,
it's I'm going to get this wrong, aren't I?
Go on, fire away.
Micah? Yes. Oh, excellent. Micah says that it's actually Southwest is all 737s as well.
Yeah, Southwest is, yeah. They've got a huge fleet of 737s.
Mostly 800 variant,
Ryanair have Ryanair have got all the 800s apart from that 700 they've got. But
Mash is put with the funky splitlets.
With all the splitlets, the sharklets.
Oh, I see. Right, yes, okay.
Or the scimitar, the scimitar wing. That's it. Well done, Mila. Well done. Right, so moving on, the next story is all yours, Mila.
Yes, just a second. There it is. Norwegian sees passenger growth continue in March. So that's great. Increased demand from both business and leisure passengers contributed to Norwegian's growth in March. The company carried almost 2.2 million passengers this month, an increase of 27% compared to March last year. The load factor was 87.9%, up 3.7 percentage points. The March traffic figures are characterized by growth and higher load factor. However, it needs to be taken into account that Scandinavian pilot strike in March of 2015 affected figures last year. In addition, the traffic growth is affected by the fact that Easter did not extend into April this year. So I guess 1 and 1 makes 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Norwegian carried 2,195,037 passengers in March, an increase of 27% compared to the same month previous year. So they've been doing well.
Yeah, they have been doing well. They've got they've got an all Boeing fleet as well.
Have they?
Yeah, Norwegian. They've got their short haul fleet, which is the 737-800s. They've also got orders for the Max 8, 737 Max 8. They've got 100 of those on order. But their long haul fleet, they've got the Dreamliner for their long haul fleet. The 787-8, and they've also got one 787-9 in working as well with them. But they've also got quite a lot of. Well, they've got 31 787-9s on order.
Right, gosh,
for their long haul fleet.
So they're all Boeing as well, as you say.
Yeah, they're all Boeing. Yeah, they're all Boeing fleet. They're a really popular airline as well, Norwegian.
Yeah.
I've never flown on Norwegian. Have you flown on Norwegian, Mila? Or?
No, I haven't, but I have some classmates who applied to Norwegian, and they're really growing a lot, and they were hiring lots of people.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah.
Ah, right. Ooh, yes,
you can tell from that and that they're also trying to become bigger and be more competitive on the market. So.
Cool. That's good. One to an airline to watch out for then, by the sound of it.
Definitely,
Definitely
It
improving.
is, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So next story on Flight Global. And this is a picture story as well, and I chose this one because it's an aircraft. It's not that old, but ANA or All Nippon Airways, however you want to say it, are retiring the 737-700ER from its fleet. In response to queries made by Flight Global, the carrier says the type's retirement was made in line with the plans to raise capacity on routes previously operated by the aircraft to the larger Boeing 787. One such route includes the Tokyo Narita Mumbai route. During the 9 years the Star Alliance member operated the aircraft, it was used to launch the new international services such as Tokyo Narita to Guangzhou, Mumbai and Yangon. With its retirement, ANA plans to sell both the aircraft it has, the 700 series ERs it has, and it's operated 2 of these aircraft since 2007, bearing registration as JA10AN and JA13AN. Each aircraft is equipped with a different configuration. JA10 Alpha November has 24 seats in business class and 20 in economy class, while JA13 Alpha November is configured with 38 all business class seats. Both aircraft were put into storage in March, on the 27th of March this year, so they're in storage, but relatively new aircraft, the 700
indeed,
but obviously they're moving on to the Dreamliner because it carries more people on these routes. But it's funny to see both these aircraft, as it says here, were configured with quite a sort of small density with business class seats, sort of matching the economy class seats and in the configuration. But there's a picture there Matt can put on the screen of the 700 ER, and you'll see it's got the winglets, right? It's got the sharklets, I should say, or if you want to call them sharklets or winglets, on there, and. Picture's not on the screen.
What's? Oh, sorry.
Matt's sorry. Oh, we'll put a picture on the screen there.
sorry. I was looking at something else. I'll explain.
Oh, he'll explain what I was going. There we go. There is the picture there of the one of the 2 aircraft that All Nippon are retiring.
Yeah.
But
as you say, it's not an old aircraft.
They'll be snapped up. They'll
really,
be they'll. Someone will, an airline will definitely buy those aircraft because they're probably relatively low air miles, aircraft.
No, indeed. Yeah.
So they'll be snapped up.
I should apologise. Sorry, the reason why I wasn't concentrating.
He's in the chat.
They were chatting. They were chatting in the chat room about, obviously, because Pip's doing his marathon. He's still in the chat room, and one of the questions he asked was, "Is the sponsorship still open?" That was from Ryan, and the answer is yes. If you haven't donated already and you are up for it, as I say, because he is, collecting money for a fantastic cause. Stop. As I say, you can see why I was laughing and got distracted now. And but if you haven't done so, Pip has actually put a link to his donation on his page. So if you go to www.planesafetypodcast.com, and there's a special link there for making donations. I think it's fine.
And Masha's saying, I absolutely love that. If you don't finish the race, do we all get our money back?
Oh, no pressure then. Yeah, no is the answer.
No.
But yeah, absolutely. As I say, if you can spare even just £1, just a bigger pocket change, then definitely. As I say, we've donated, and as I say, all the very best of luck, and hopefully Pip will be joining us on the show while he's doing his marathon next week, so
absolutely.
we can all cheer him on and make sure that he finishes
Fingers
his marathon.
crossed.
Absolutely,
You get this.
Yeah, he'll be all right. Yeah, he's a legend. Anyway, he doesn't need our help. Anyway, on to the next story, because it's all about aeroplanes, and I keep forgetting that. It is on the Breaking Travel News website, and the headline is Airbus selects Rockwell Collins for high-speed internet deal. Airbus has selected Rockwell Collins as a lead supplier of high-bandwidth connectivity for the Airbus A320 single-aisle family of aircraft and long-range A330 and A380 aircraft. Under the terms of the agreement, airlines purchasing Airbus aircraft can select HBC from Rockwell Collins to meet the growing demand for high-speed connectivity. In our day-to-day conversations with our online customers, the need for high-speed connectivity is top of mind. The solution we're providing meets the significant pressure airlines are getting from their passengers to provide a superior connectivity service while flying, says Greg Ehrman, Vice President and General Manager of Flight Controls and Information Systems at Rockwell Collins. We're excited to be part of the movement to bring people together around the world, no matter where they can be. As a lead supplier, Rockwell Collins will collaborate with Airbus to develop and deploy both a line-fit and retrofit HBC system to ensure an end-to-end managed SATCOM solution. Specific details about the technology solution will be released as they are finalised. Airbus's HBC selection builds upon Rockwell Collins' extensive amount of next-generation systems it supplies the aircraft maker. Numerous Rockwell Collins systems are standard on the Airbus A350 XWB and options for the A320 and A330 aircraft families. Most recently, Rockwell Collins was selected by Airbus to supply its electronic flight bag interface and communications unit, which is part of its secure server router portfolio as options on the A320 and the A330s. Now, is it just me? Don't get me wrong, and I'm a technology nut. I love tech. I can't.
That's why I chose this story for you.
Tech, but I think. I mean, you alluded to it, I think, when we in last week's story. What happened to just looking out of the window and enjoying the view?
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, I love technology. I can't get enough of it. The only reason this studio is full of so much technology is because I can't get enough of the stuff. But there are some places like where you don't need technology. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to be online when you're in the aeroplane. Can you just have 3 hours off of Facebook? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's very true.
And I think you said before, wasn't it? The best HD screen you'll ever find is the one out of the window.
One out of the window. It's very true.
I know it seems strange, a guy who loves his tech so much, but you don't need it in the air. You really don't.
No.
Just talk to the person you're flying with for 5 minutes.
No.
Don't talk to the wife. Okay, my apologies. Anyway,
what about you, Mila? Have you done any long haul flights yourself? I mean, do you?
I have actually, to the United States and back.
Okay.
For my training.
Wow.
But I slept most of the way, I guess, and
You can
I had
sleep?
a book, and apparently people do that.
Yeah. It's only Carlos that can't. I fall asleep on the airplane.
I got
as well.
a window seat on the way there, but I didn't get a window seat on the way back. So I was glad I slept through most of the way back.
Right.
But the window seat was awesome, and I absolutely loved it. I I cannot imagine why people would not want to have a window seat and enjoy the view and just, you know.
Oh yeah.
No, it's good.
But what I was thinking about was if you put 200 people in a room and you give all of them their smartphone or their tablet or whatever it is, imagine the kind of connection you'd have to provide, you know, good running internet. And
yeah, this is it. I mean, it is possible with satellites and stuff, but the options are quite limited, as you were saying. Also, Mash has put a good point in the chat room. She said, really, I can understand for business travellers, but I'm fine being off the grid for a few hours. I think, I suppose if you are travelling for business, then having access to the internet so that you can carry on working, if you like, because there are people who spend a lot of time in the air moving from place to place, don't they? So I kind of get that, actually.
Do you know, sometimes I do here at home. Sometimes I will just put my phone upstairs on
and
silent,
just have a
and
few
just
hours
leave
off the grid,
and just be off grid for a while. But no, I mean, I can't sleep when I'm flying, and I'm even long haul.
Yeah, but that's because you're
I'm
insanely
so
excited.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, absolutely.
I find the whole flying experience from start to finish is just, even now. I mean, I've been flying for so many years now, and it just, every time I just love it. It's
I'm literally gripping onto the armrest, hoping that nothing goes wrong, hating every minute of it. But there we are. It's all part of the fun. Anyway, on to the next story then.
Next story is...
that would be
the next story is Alaska Air Group to acquire Virgin America.
Oh,
so Alaska Air Group is to take over U.S. budget carrier Virgin America in an agreement the operator values at some $4 billion. It says the acquisition has been unanimously approved by the boards of both carriers. So Alaska Air Group, the parent of Alaska Airlines, will pay $57 per share in cash for Virgin America, the equivalent of $2.6 billion in equity value. The remainder of the transaction value is calculated from Virgin American debt and capitalized aircraft operating leases. It's expected to achieve $225 million in annual net synergies upon full integration with low-cost carrier Virgin America, and is estimating one-off integration costs of $300 to $350 million.
Wow.
That's a lot of numbers.
It is. Sorry about that. I mean, this is a huge story, though, as Carl was sort of like alluding to. I mean, this is a big story.
It is.
But then that is what Virgin does, isn't it? He usually is. The exception here in this country is the fact that it's still all Richard Branson owned, isn't it? But he that's what he does. He creates a product that everybody wants, and then he sells it.
I've no idea how much, I mean, Alaska Group, they're going to acquire Virgin America. I've no idea
what the actual numbers are
with percentage wise of the company and stuff, but it'll make Alaska a huge airline.
But $57 per share is quite a lot of money.
Yeah, Alaska Airlines.
But we don't know what the share is that they're buying, do we? I mean, presumably they're buying enough to have the controlling stake.
I'd imagine so. Yeah.
But
they've got a whole Boeing fleet as well. Alaska.
Are they?
Yeah, their current fleet. Alaska's
what about
fleet.
Virgin?
Virgin are all Airbus. Their
Right.
Virgin America are all. I think they're all A320s. The Virgin America, and it'll be interesting to see what Alaska does. Whether they'll keep the Airbuses that they acquire through the acquisition of Virgin America, or whether they'll get rid of the A320s and take and get some more Boeings in. But because, like I said, at the moment, Alaska are all Boeings in their fleet. They've got a mix of 737s and also the 400s, 700s, 800s, and 900s.
It'll be interesting to see them when they do have to, when they essentially own Virgin Atlantic, whether they'll stick with Boeing, Virgin America, sorry, whether they'll stick with Boeing or Airbus.
They've got 152 Boeing aircraft. Alaska, that's quite a lot.
What's
Virgin America? I don't think they're off the top of my head without looking. I don't think their fleet is as big. I think that they'll probably sell all, because I think the Virgin American ones are leased. Yeah, they've got 60.
Okay, right.
Virgin America, they've got 60 Airbus.
So they may move. They may sort of maybe sell off the Airbus and maybe go down
Yeah, or could put them, send them back to the leaser.
Oh right, if they're only leased.
Yeah.
So yeah,
they've got 319s and 320s. Virgin America. So yeah.
Yeah, good.
So there we go. That should be.
Stuart's asking a very good question, actually, saying
What's that?
Is Virgin America a big player in the US?
Yes, Virgin America. I mean, when we were in Vegas, they were flying in and out of McCarran Airport
All the time.
daily,
Right,
all the
okay.
time.
Wow.
Virgin America. So yeah, their hubs are at Los Angeles and San Francisco.
Yeah. Wow.
So moving on to the next story on Float Global, and this is a story that happened earlier this week, in fact, and it was covered. Actually, I think it was covered on the Geek Show. They had the story as well. This was the Batik 737 takeoff collision, which badly damaged a Transnusa ATR. One of the Indonesian regional carriers, Transnusa Air Services, they had an ATR 42-600. Which has been seriously damaged in a ground collision with a 737-800 conducting its final takeoff roll from Jakarta Airport. Damage to the Batik Air 737 indicates that it struck the ATR with its left wingtip during departure from runway 24 in darkness at around 5 to 8 in the evening. The ATR 42 registered Papa Kilo Tango November Juliet, and with only around 18 months on its time, so it's a relatively new aircraft, sustained substantial damage to its airframe, including the loss of most of its left wing, as well as its vertical tail fin and horizontal stabilizer. It had been under tow by a tractor at the time of the accident, according to Batik Air, which is a division of Indonesia's Lion Group. Batik Air says the 737-800 had been operating flight ID 7703 to Makassar, and that the aircraft had been released for takeoff by air traffic control at Halim Perdanakusuma Airport. Wow, that's a huge name.
The what now? Yeah.
The jet was similarly a relatively young airframe, having been delivered towards the end of 2014. The crew aborted the takeoff after the impact, and Batik describes the incident as a nudge despite the extensive damage to the aircraft and the outbreak of fire after the collision. 49 passengers and 7 crew members have been on board the 737, so not a full aircraft at all, and they were evacuated down the slides. Indonesia's Transport Ministry states that all passengers and crew were evacuated with no fatalities.
Is there any pictures of the actual damage? No, there aren't.
We didn't actually. There was some photos online actually on that. There are some photos. If you go to the Aviation Herald website, brilliant website run by Simon there. If you go onto there are some pictures that were taken of the aircraft. I mean, the 737 has quite some damage to the wingtip. It's quite nasty, but the ATR 42 is quite a mess. That's quite a mess.
Yeah, I bet.
So it'll be interesting to see who they pin down as the fault to that. Perhaps that's something that Pip could look at. One of these stories that he could look at.
It's always very tricky, isn't it? I suppose you've got to know. The lines are always quite blurred with regard to who has priority, essentially.
But the way I see it, the ATR was being towed off the runway by a tractor.
Okay.
The 737 had been cleared for takeoff, was firing down the runway, and the ATR clearly hadn't cleared the runway in time.
Right. Okay.
Hence the reason the wingtip of the 737
But did he not clear the runway? Was it because the person who was... Yeah, so it sounds like the instruction was incorrect to take off, essentially,
or the person towing the ATR
wasn't where he should have been.
Let the control tower know. Look, I'm clear of the runway.
Yeah, let's go.
Runway is clear. So
as you say, let's see what the outcome of that story is then, because not a good story, really. I mean, that's not what you want just as you're taking off. Never mind.
So next story.
Yeah, next story. This is on Flight Global again. And the headline is TAP Portugal to be the first operator of the A330 Neo. Now, that's the new engine option.
Yeah.
Get me.
I know, he's learning.
TAP Portugal is to be the first carrier to operate the re-engined Airbus A330 Neo, taking delivery of the type towards the end of 2017. The identity of the launch operator has been disclosed by the airframer during a briefing at the Aircraft Interiors Expo in Hamburg. TAP has Airlines, or TAP, I don't know whether it's TAP or whether it's TAP, anyway, we'll say TAP, has 14 of the A330-900 neo twin jets on order. The aircraft will be fitted with Rolls-Royce Trent 7000 engines. The airline converted to the A330neo, having previously selected the A350-800 before switching to the A350-900 under a strategic shift to its fleet modernisation plan following privatisation last year. TAP, or TAP, will become the first carrier to take delivery of the new Airspace by Airbus cabin layout for the A330neo, a revamped interior unveiled by the airframer back in March. The airliner has previously stated that the A330neos will have 304 seats, including 32 business class, 96 premium economy, and 176 economy seats. TAP Chief Commercial Officer Trey Urban describes the new cabin design as innovative, adding that it provides an exciting and flexible canvas. Airspace by Airbus will feature new LED-based lighting, larger overhead luggage bins. Oh, that's the magic word, isn't it? Larger overhead luggage bins. Great news. Updated lavatory modules, everyone. And the latest connectivity and in-flight entertainment systems.
So the A330neo...
Yep.
New engine option, as Matt said.
Yep.
The engine that's going to be powering this will only be one engine option. It's a new engine option, but it's only one type of engine that will be powering this aircraft. It'll be the Rolls-Royce Trent 7000. Will be the only option for the aircraft. As we said, the launch custom TAP expected the fourth quarter of 2017. If you want to buy one of these aircraft, if you want to just go and ring up Boeing and purchase one of these aircraft, they're doing two. They're doing an 800 and a 900 Neo on the 330, and they're going to start at around $252.3 million.
Splendid. Are they doing any buy one get one free offers?
Unfortunately, not. Okay. And if you want the 900, that's going to set you back $287.7 million. At current prices. But obviously, we all know that airlines don't pay the list price.
Actually, just before we move on to the next story, I'm just going to say, because Pip's now off because he's got to go and do some work.
Oh, bye, Pip.
Which is always a shame. Just so if you can spare some pocket change, he is doing his marathon next weekend. Next Sunday, he's running the London Marathon. So if you have got a bit of spare pocket change, take yourself to www.planesafetypodcast.com. The link to his donation page is on there. If you can spare any money, I'm sure he would really appreciate the moral support. And from all of us here, we'll hopefully speak to him next week. But from all of us here, good luck, Pip.
And just as a quick offshoot from that last story, Matt, you said that TAP are going to be having the first one of those.
Yes.
They weren't actually the first customer to order these.
Were they not?
No. The first customer to order the A330neo was actually Delta Airlines back in 2014.
Right. Okay, cool. Yeah.
TAP are quite relatively new. They put their orders in November 2015.
Okay.
The latest orders being from Guarda, Indonesia. They've ordered 14 of the 900s in January this year.
Okay.
So it's funny that TAP are going to be the launch customer, considering they weren't the first ones to order.
No, a bit strange, really.
Yeah, I thought it was first come, first serve.
Absolutely.
There we go. Right, so next story.
Indeed.
All right, it's the Flydubai 737 crash probe. The stabilizer shifted to nose down. To get close, that the horizontal stabilizer of the crashed Flydubai Boeing 737-800 transitioned to nose-down pitch at a height of 900 meters, roughly 3,000 feet, as the crew attempted a second go-round. The aircraft, which has been climbing out of the approach to Rostov-on-Don, subsequently entered a dive from which it failed to recover. Russia's Federal Air Transport Regulator, Rosaviastia, has outlined the sequence of the fatal 19 March accident.
That's no worse a pronunciation than I would have made, to be fair, Mila. So well done there.
It's a try.
It is definitely a challenge.
It at the 4th April safety bulletin. So while it has not been disclosed conclusions about the crash, it says the Commission of Inquiry has recommended that the 737 operators be urged to study go-around procedures and handling of aircraft, particularly in regard to longitudinal flight control. So basically what they're saying is you should not have pitched down,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. This is, as I say, this is the sort of the follow-on, isn't it? Fly Dubai 737 crash probe. The stabilizer shifted to nose down. So I think that this was, as I say, the investigators had disclosed that the horizontal stabilizer of the crashed Dubai Boeing 737-800 transitioned to nose down pitch at a height of 900 meters. I wonder, it'd be interesting to see how they get to the bottom of that, because that is a worrying. Yeah, that's.
But it doesn't state if it was pilot input or technical failure.
And this is it,
And, those are two extremely different things. And then saying, maybe you guys should, study your go-around procedures.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's kind of.
It would suggest maybe that preliminary, accident reports, if you like, have suggested that it perhaps wasn't entirely down to
the pilot.
Essentially.
They haven't really released a huge amount of data as to what they found on the.
But then it's still quite early days, isn't it? So
exactly, and there's only one way to get an airplane from up to down, and that's by, pointing the nose down and taking away the power.
Yeah.
So that is kind of obvious.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah,
I mean that aircraft. When we saw the videos, that aircraft came down at such a steep angle, really steep angle.
Yeah, I can't think of any situation where that particular dive was acceptable in anything other than something that was completely out of someone's control. I mean, it's very bizarre, isn't it?
Hello to Peter Johnson, who's in the chat room. He's just popped in to say hello in the chat room. So good morning to you, Peter Johnson. He's from the extended show over here in the UK.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, good morning to you, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so sorry, folks. Saturday morning, parental duties. Enjoy the show so far. Sorry I have to fly. Love aviation and enjoying the show. So well done and catch up soon. Yeah, lovely. Thanks, Peter. Yeah, good. That's good. Love it.
And I was just thinking about, flying that ILS, and sometimes, or not sometimes, there is a technical possibility that you might pick up an alternative signal that is going to give you a much more steeper angle.
Right.
But even if that happens, that angle is not going to be as steep as what you could see in the picture.
Yeah.
And then, if you would, as a pilot, if you would pick up on that extremely steep angle and high speed, you would still say, I'm not stabilized, I'm going around.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's what makes the situation even more tricky.
Yeah, well, I mean,
we did say on the story, if you remember back, that one of the aircraft that was coming into land before him
had aborted because of the weather.
He went to the alternative.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess we'll never really know what the decision was behind not doing the same, really. It's much more detailed. Yeah,
I'll be very surprised if they find it's a fault with the with the aircraft, because it's such a popular aircraft.
But not all aircraft are infallible.
I know. Well,
this has been proven before, hasn't it? Sorry, I'm playing devil's advocate, everyone. I'm so sorry, but yes, absolutely. So I think the long and the short of it is there's much more detail still to be released.
Yeah, there'll be more stuff come out.
Yeah,
about that.
Absolutely.
So next story. Go on, Mila.
Oh no, I was just going to add that that's really where the Swiss cheese factor comes in.
Yeah.
There's so many options that all have to align for something that big to happen. So really, Matt, you shouldn't worry as much.
All I want is I just hope that they get a definitive answer as to what.
And happened. They will.
I hope they do, because it's. I mean, let's be honest. We've still got an aeroplane that's missing. The flight MH, was it
370?
370. Yeah. I mean that they reckon they found a piece, don't they, of it?
I mean they keep finding these little pieces of the aircraft. It's a shame they can't locate.
But this is it. We're never. I don't think we're ever going to actually know what truly happened with that, and that's what makes me nervous. But anyway, yes. On to the next story.
And Flight Global, and the headline: Rossia. I think I pronounced that right. Mile probably, if I got that wrong. Rossia receives 747-400 in new colours. See, there's still airlines using the good old 747-400. So Aeroflot Group carrier Rossia has taken delivery of a Boeing 747-400 bearing the revised and modernised livery of the newly consolidated carrier. Rossia Air's aircraft arrived from repainting in Dublin.
Ooh.
The airline is expanding its fleet with aircraft formerly operated by Transaero before its collapse last year. The airline says that as part of the revamp, aircraft will carry the names of Russian cities. The first 747 will be naturally named after the carrier's St. Petersburg base. Flight Global's Fleets Analyzer database shows the aircraft, Echo India X-Ray Lima Echo, is a General Electric CF6 powered airframe, produced in 1999.
Cool.
Which was originally delivered to Japan Airlines before being transferred to Transaero. Rossia's operation is being reinforced with the integration of Aeroflot Group's carriers Orinair and Donavia. The new livery is based on an aircraft contrail with elements resembling turbine blades, and the titles are designed to reflect the dynamic character of the brand, the carrier says. Rossia chairman Vadim Zingman says the colour scheme will give the impression of movement and flight even when the aircraft is on the ground. Repainting the rest of the fleet will be carried out in accordance with the planned maintenance schedules.
If I'm honest with you, I'm not sure about this. Let's just, for those of you
I quite like
who
this.
are watching it on YouTube.
I actually quite like this.
Yeah, I see, I don't know. I'm not sure about this. It makes me feel quite sick, if I'm honest. It doesn't work for me in any way, shape or form.
What do you think of that, Mila?
I love it.
Really? Well, I bow to your superior knowledge on style
really,
and stuff.
Really awesome. It kind of reminds me of Air New Zealand.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, I'll give
Black
you that.
and white-ish.
Yeah, yes, I see what you mean there. Yeah, not for me personally.
Of course,
but-
I'd prefer it to be in blue, but
In
then
blue.
blue is my favourite colour. But
Is it? Yes. Is
but
that
no,
because
I-
a certain airline that you're a fan of has blue in their livery? No.
No, not at all.
No, I'm just trying to ascertain the blue fascination where the
like
link comes
blue.
from, because I'm almost certain that it involves, well, other than the sky, but yeah.
Marsha's put in the chat room she that doesn't like it.
No, see,
No.
I'm with Masha. I'm with
No.
Masha. I personally don't like it, but it looks like, I don't know, it looks like something's gone horribly wrong with a paint gun.
Mike has put looks like a white peach.
Turning
the
pink
pink sun.
in the sun. Yeah, I see what you mean. That's
Are
gonna,
you guys seeing a different picture than me? Because I think it's great.
yeah,
I
no.
think it's good.
Yeah,
I like this one.
No, it's just me. I think, I don't know.
I think the 747-400 looks good anyway, regardless,
dear.
because it's in my top 5 of.
Is it?
Yeah,
Must
it's in my
have
top
aircraft,
5 Must
yes.
have aircraft. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Anyway, before the controversy continues, I think we should move on to the penultimate story, and this is on Flight Global again, and the headline is Airbus to deliver first US-built A321 on the 25th of April. Somebody's left their phone on in the studio.
Oh, yeah.
Airbus will deliver the first US-built Airbus A320 family aircraft to JetBlue Airways on the 25th of April. The aircraft, an A321, will be handed to the New York-based carrier at a ceremony at Airbus's factory in Mobile, in Alabama.
Mobile, Alabama.
Mobile. Oh, sorry, Mobile. Well, it says Mobile. Mobile.
It's Mobile, Alabama.
City. It's a JetBlue Chief Executive Robin Hayes and Airbus Chief Operating Officer for Customers John Leahy will attend the event. Hayes also told Flight Global late last month that he expected the aircraft to be delivered in late April. The A321 made its first flight on the 21st of March. It bears the manufacturer's serial number 6512 and registration November 965 Juliet Tango. Flight Global's Fleet Analyzer shows Airbus officially opened the Mobile factory on the 14th of September 2015, although the site was up and running for several months prior to that. The final assembly line will produce up to 4 A320 family aircraft each month by 2018. That's very exciting. There's a nice little picture there. I'll just stick it up there. It's a nice little picture of JetBlue's aircraft there.
Yeah, just to clarify, Mike has just put a very valid point in the chat room, actually.
Okay.
Because, like you've just said, Matt, the headline says, if I
Yeah.
go back to the top here where it is,
Yeah.
that US to deliver the first US built.
Right.
That should really say US assembled.
Okay.
Because the parts are built by Airbus in
Right.
Europe.
Okay.
Then
And
they're
it's just
shipped out
assembled,
to there,
right,
and it's
okay.
assembled in the US.
Okay.
So I mean, that's funny if Flight Global get that wrong, really. But
Yeah, well.
I mean, you could say it's US built. I mean, it is built in the US
Yeah.
to get as in put together built. but
Yeah.
it's technically it's assembled in the US.
I think they're using the fact that it's assembled on American soil to maybe express more interest. Perhaps they're trying to get more interest on the American market. Perhaps, and I know the Americans are very fond of stuff having been made in the US, so perhaps that's what they're playing on, if I'm honest. But
so thanks for that, Micah.
Yeah, absolutely, a very, very valid point, as you say, because it's US assembled rather than US built, because the parts are shipped in from Europe.
So we have a top 10.
Do we? We haven't had one of these for a very long time.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do have a top 10.
So have I got to try and put pictures up on this one as well?
Yeah, we'll put the pictures up on the screen. I think me and Mila will share the top 10. If you
yes,
can,
that's fine.
So
I'll do the usual.
Ladies first. I'll let Mila start off from number 10.
Ladies should always go first. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll start with number 10. So at the bottom of the story.
So this is the world's busiest airport.
Number 10.
At number 10, that's Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, USA.
Absolutely.
Rounding off the top 10 is American Airlines mega hub Dallas-Fort Worth in Texas. It saw 64 million passengers, but slipped one place from the ninth in the 2014 list.
All right, so they've lost a whole space. That's absolutely outrageous, honestly. There we go. So number 9.
Number 9, it's Paris Charles de Gaulle in France. And the second busiest airport in Europe with 65 million passengers. However, its hopes of surpassing Heathrow are not yet realised, partly due to a downturn in traffic at the end of the year because of terrorist threats. It slips one place, so that's Paris Charles de Gaulle.
Number 8.
All right. Hong Kong. That's a challenge. Hong Kong, China.
Well done.
All right. And more than 68 million passengers passed through Hong Kong in 2015. Up 8.2% on the previous year. It retains its position as the world's busiest cargo airport.
Wow, the world's busiest cargo airport. That's quite cool. In at number 7.
At number 7, it's Los Angeles International in the US, or LAX. Another airport to fall into the list. LAX was the 5th in 2014, but now resides in 7th position. Despite this, the Californian hub still saw a rise in passenger numbers over the previous years, thanks to new routes, larger aircraft, and infrastructure developments.
In at number 6.
London Heathrow.
Yay!
The biggest loser this year.
Yeah,
So
that sounds
that's
about
kind of
right.
Not
Yeah.
cool. Formerly the busiest international airport in the world, Heathrow is still the busiest in Europe with 74.9 million passengers. It has dropped from 3rd place in this year's list. So get back up there.
Indeed, absolutely. I don't know. Well, they need another runway, don't they? This is half the trouble
that's
with
it.
that. Anyway, number 5.
At number 5, it's Tokyo Haneda in
That's
Japan.
an amazing looking. Sorry, I'm just going to put that picture up. That is an amazing looking airport.
So with 75 million passengers, Tokyo's busiest airport is Haneda, which has grown in recent years thanks to new international slots being unlocked, which now brings many additional passengers every year.
Ooh, and at number 4.
Chicago O'Hare International Airport in the USA.
In the
So,
USA, yeah. That's
Thanks to a new runway, Chicago O'Hare was able to rise 3 places as it dealt with congestion and overcrowding. The American United Hub is the 2nd busiest in the USA and is still seeing growth.
You see, and this is the magic answer with this. You see, is the fact that they mentioned the reason for their growth was a new runway.
I know.
A new
hint.
runway.
Hint,
Heathrow.
UK people.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, number 3.
So at number 3, an airport I've flown into quite a few times now, it's Dubai International Airport in the UAE. Much was made of the news that Dubai became the busiest international airport in 2015. It also rose 3 places to become the 3rd busiest airport overall, thanks to its excellent airline links and the size of Emirates Airline. Look at the picture there.
I know,
There's
it's
all
amazing,
those
isn't it?
tails.
Yeah,
Look.
absolutely. Anyway, number 2.
Number 2, Beijing Capital International in China. With
Oh.
9.715 kept right to enough to reach Atlanta as was expected. Nevertheless, The mega Chinese hub is still set to be replaced by an even bigger airport in the coming years.
Oh, right. Oh, wow.
We had a bit of a Skype flutter there, didn't we?
Yeah, a little bit of a
Skype
flutter. Yes,
flutter there.
absolutely.
But that was 89.9 million passengers in 2015 at Beijing.
Exactly.
Wow, yeah, no, that's really quite amazing. That is really... Anyway, finally, at number 1.
So at number 1, especially for all our listeners in the USA, you've beaten everyone to the post.
Wow.
And number 1 at the top slot is Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in the US, retaining its position at the top despite close competition from Beijing and Dubai. Atlanta is home to Delta Airlines with its vast network and fleet of aircraft. Look at that picture there.
I know, isn't it amazing?
Wow,
That is such a
huge
sight.
airport. With more runways than what we have here in the whole
yes,
of the UK.
in the whole of the
I
UK
think.
on one site. Yes, absolutely.
I've
Crazy
got a good feeling. I think maybe one of the other podcast hosts possibly flies out of that airport.
He's probably
occasionally.
been there. Certainly.
He's probably been there.
Yeah,
I think he has.
yeah.
He knows who we're talking about.
Yeah, does he? Right. Okay. Yeah. I'm amazed he has time to listen, frankly. But
So we've got some military news then coming up.
Yeah.
We've also got a segment from Pip.
we have. Yep.
And we've got a bit of listener feedback sent in, audio feedback sent in, and
Okay.
a little bit of air show news. And we're going to get that all done, and then we'll have a little chat with Mila about flying career and how she loves to fly.
Indeed. So brace yourself then, ladies and gentlemen. We're just going to take a very quick break, and we are going to be right back after these messages.
Find this and other great shows at the Aviation Media Network.
thevoicesinyourhead.com.
The Plain Talking UK podcast is a voluntary project that aims to keep you informed with the latest aviation-related stories from newswires across the globe.
Producing our content does cost money though. If you enjoy our show, why not help us keep on the air by making a donation towards the server and website hosting fees through PayPal. Any contributions would be greatly appreciated.
Are you an Amazon user? If so, why not do your shopping through the link on our website? There's no cost to yourself, and Amazon pay us a small referral fee on qualifying purchases.
To find out more about the show and to meet the team, take yourself to our website www.plaintalkinguk.com,
Or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/plaintalkinguk, on Twitter via @plaintalkinguk, or get in touch via email on podcast@plaintalkinguk.com. Thanks for listening.
And we're back.
We are.
Hello.
Hello, indeed.
So I hope you enjoyed that first half of the show.
Yeah.
We certainly did. Thanks again to Mila for joining us. I hope you're enjoying yourself still, Mila.
I am. It's great.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
I know.
I'm super excited.
We've
She's
got some
far too
questions
kind.
actually in the chat room. We've got coming in to ask you. So I hope you're ready for those later. A bit later.
We'll see.
Absolutely.
So we have got a segment.
We have got a segment from the legend that is Pilot Pip.
And we're going to have a cup of tea while
We are going to have a
smell
cup of tea while
great.
that's on. So, we're going to, on that fund that is getting topped up nicely. Thank you to all our Patreon subscribers. But yes, we're getting a segment from Pilot Pip. This week he's actually talking about essentially emergency landings to a degree and where you land if you can't get to your runway.
Plane safety from the flight deck with Pilot Pip.
Hi everybody, it's Pip here. I apologise for my absence from the podcast for the last 2 or 3 episodes, but I'm back now with just a very short segment and a little discussion, a little thought exercise on a story I read recently in the aviation press. You may have seen it yourself. In fact, maybe the guys have already even talked about it. This was an incident that happened in the US last week, maybe the week before, of a light single-engine aircraft. Suffered an engine failure and landed on the highway on a road, and in the process, unfortunately, crashed into a car and killed the motorist. Everyone on the aircraft was okay. I think there were 3 people. But as I say, unfortunately, the motorist was killed after this aircraft force landed onto a highway, onto a road. So I thought I'd have a little discussion at some of the thought processes and the pros and cons of landing on a road, or what you might do after you suffer an engine failure. So we're really talking exclusively here about light aircraft, light single-engine aircraft, the things that Carlos and Matt Fabricius will be familiar with, so the Cessnas and the Pipers, that sort of thing. And certainly PFLs, or practice forced landings, are a big part of the PPL training syllabus. It's something you practice and train for over and over again. Because obviously with a single engine, if that engine quits, if it dies, if it breaks, then you're left with very few options except to land somewhere. So it's important to have a very good idea of what's available to you and where you might ditch, where you might land your aircraft if the donkey, as we call it, does quit. And one of the options, of course, that you may have is to put it down on a road. However, here in the UK, and certainly when I did my PPL training, and I've asked some instructor friends of mine, the training here in the UK, the advice given and the training given is very much to not land on a road or a highway. In fact, I would even go as far to say is that it's positively discouraged to plan to land on a road or a highway. But I'll say right from the outset, this really very much depends on the circumstances you find yourself in, the area you're in, at the time of day, what's available. You may find yourself with very few options. But generally speaking, landing on a road is pretty well discouraged here. It's a different story in the States, though, I understand, and there's some very good reasons for that as well. But what's taught in the PPL syllabus here in the UK is to, as soon as you've had an engine failure and as soon as you've carried out your immediate actions, is to identify a field in which to land in. Now, those of us in the UK and Northern Europe will know that the landscape here is very much dominated by farmland and fields. So there's an abundance of choice, an abundance of fields from which to choose from. And of course, our flying over here and our low flying rules and our flying regulations do dictate that we shouldn't be flying over populated or built up areas like cities in a single engine aircraft. Now that's a little bit different in the States. The culture there is very much more minded towards using aeroplanes, light aircraft, as a regular way of getting from A to B, as much like you would with your car. Whereas here it's viewed as more of a hobby, as a kind of a rich person's sport. Whereas in the States, the culture there is very much different. It's a light aircraft is an everyday way of getting around your business, getting from A to B. So over there you can fly over congested large cities in a single engine aircraft. Here the rules are different. You have to be able to glide clear of any built up areas. That's the basic guiding principle. If the engine quits, you need to be able to glide the aircraft to an unpopulated open area in which you could put your aircraft down. So for that reason, landing on a road is probably a little bit more prohibitive here, because if you're following the rules, you'll be away from many of the roads. But also the roads here, as opposed to somewhere like the States, they tend to be quite, well, as we all know, those of us that live in the UK, lots of windy country roads, often bordered by hedgerows and bushes and woods, and they're very windy and very narrow. And the other roads, the bigger roads, the A roads, the motorways, well, they are often quite congested. And of course, as a pilot, you have a duty of care to not injure other people. So if you're going to put it down on a road, you do run the risk, as we saw in this incident, of injuring other people, and you have a responsibility to avoid that as best you can. So if you were to find a long straight road in the UK, chances are it'll be a big motorway or something like that. So more than likely it's going to be quite busy with cars, quite heavy congestion, traffic, and there'll certainly be lots of obstacles along the way. Power lines tend to run across roads, obviously all the street lighting we have, all the signs. So it's going to be quite difficult actually, in practical terms, to find an open, long bit of road you could put an aircraft safely down on over here that hasn't got obstacles, hasn't got power lines, hasn't got cars on it. Whereas that might be a different situation in the States. You know, they have these very long, open interstate highways that, go through the desert or very unpopulated, sparse areas of the country, which are very long and straight and open and have very little traffic on it. And particularly if you're flying at night, for instance, then a road may be the only identifiable feature that you can see from your aircraft. because the surface you put it down on is going to largely dictate whether you're going to survive this accident or not. So you can imagine the difference between landing on a nice smooth asphalt or concrete surface like a road as opposed to a ploughed field. But nonetheless, the training and advice here in Europeland in the UK is very much geared towards picking a field and certainly not a road. So what are some of the things you might consider when picking a field? Well, time is going to be of the utmost importance. Depending on exactly what height you are when you've suffered your engine failure, you may not have much time at all to pick somewhere to land before you're actually coming down towards terra firma. And obviously the GA flying here tends to be quite low level, typically 3,000 feet and below. So when you're gliding from those sorts of low levels, you haven't got much time to get yourself organised. And the open countryside here is very arable, it's very farmed, it's very agricultural. So picking a right field is important. And there's a kind of a rule of thumb that I remember being taught. It's, very loose kind of guidance, but a dark field, like a dark brown field, is best avoided because a dark brown field indicates a freshly ploughed field. Perhaps the crops have just been harvested, so it's going to be quite very furrowed, very undulating, quite a hard surface to put an aircraft down. You can imagine a light single landing on that. The nose gear or the landing wheels will instantaneously dig into the soil. It will go down by the front, by the prop, and likely to tip over. And that's going to be quite a tricky situation to survive. The other end of the spectrum would be a green field full of grass. Now that could be potentially quite a good field to put it down in, but it really depends on what the crop is that's growing there. If it's just plain old grass, maybe a cricket pitch or something like that, well, that would be ideal. But green doesn't necessarily indicate smooth landing conditions. So the best compromise, so the advice goes, is a kind of a light brown field, indicating dry soil, hard soil perhaps, something firm to put the aircraft down on. Your other option may be a water landing. Perhaps you've got a lake or a river or you're over the coast. Putting it down on the water may be a good idea, or maybe the least bad idea, if we put it like that. It really very much depends on what you're left with, what your options are. I remember when I used to fly light aircraft, which is something I very much hope to be doing again in the near future, but I always used to carry with me in my little kit bag would be a hammer, a hefty hammer, with which to break the windows if I had to. You can imagine an aircraft that tips over on a forced landing and you're left upside down, the doors are jammed, so I always carried a hammer with which I might be able to smash the canopy window to get myself out. But as I mentioned, these are very much considerations for the light single-engine aircraft pilot. When we're looking at large jet transport aircraft, then putting it down in fields and things, well, those aren't really options that we look at or consider. If we get a double engine failure, which would be very, very unusual, a very rare event, then I suppose our primary considerations would be just getting it away from built-up areas, perhaps a waterborne ditching landing, as we saw on the Miracle on the Hudson, as it was so called, but preferably getting it back down on a runway. I've practiced a couple of times in the simulator glide approaches following double engine failures. That's not part of the official training, it's just sometimes we've got some time left over in the simulators and we have a little bit of fun with it, so we toy around with things like that. And my philosophy has always been to pick a runway, pick some strip, whatever it happens to be, and get myself in a position where I've got plenty of access, altitude, height. My thinking is it's far easier to get an aircraft onto the deck, onto the runway, from a position of being too high than too low. Obviously, if your engines are gone, then you can't gain back that altitude. But if you've got too much, then it's easy enough to lose. You can get flaps out and drag devices. And thinking back to my gliding days, I became very adept at side slips, and I've done that a few times in the simulator, finding myself with maybe 1,000 or 2,000 feet to lose. Plug in lots of side slips, so that's opposite controls, ailerons one way, rudder the other way, so the aircraft's kind of side slipping through the air and it'll drop like a brick. You can control your altitude descent rate very well like that, I've found. But I obviously hope it doesn't ever happen to me, and I certainly hope it never happens to you guys out there listening now. If you're flying your single engine Cessnas, I hope you never do suffer an engine failure, but certainly it is a real possibility, and it's something that you need to be thinking of constantly when you're flying along. Carlos, I'm sure, will agree with me. I'm sure his instructors are constantly reminding him at every so often in the flight, if the engine failed right now, where would you land? What field would you put it in? So you constantly need to be looking out the window and seeing where you might go if it all goes horribly wrong. Anyway, that's my thoughts on practice force landings, or PFLs. I'll be back next week, hopefully, with another segment. Until then, back to the guys in the studio. Take care, everyone. Bye.
And thanks very much for that, Pilot Pip, as always. Yeah. Fantastic segment from you. And it's good to have you back in the
absolutely. I still can't believe that the marathon is next week.
I know.
Neither can he, I'm quite sure. But yeah, absolutely. So exciting show next week. Hopefully we'll be talking to Pip live as he does his marathon. Can't wait.
Don't forget you can find Pip's show over on iTunes, Plane Safety Podcast. Yep. If you search for him on iTunes, you can download his latest show. He's released one recently with Captain Al on, which is really good. Excellent listening. So find him on Plane Safety Podcast and also planesafetypodcast.com.
And all being well, as I say, you will catch him on here next week live.
How are you, Mila?
I'm fine. I was listening to Pip, and I absolutely love his pieces.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get that out and let him know. And I was nodding my head the entire time, saying, yes, that's correct. And I remember that from training. And so I'm all excited about it, and I just love his pieces. So
he's a real gent as well. It's very good of him to because he is such a busy man. So really appreciate the time he takes sending us out the little segments. They really do add something to our little show.
Absolutely, and they're very well put together, and they're great. Absolutely love them.
It's the react. What I love about it is it's the reacting to, like, a couple of times he's like where there's been a media story that's hit, and he's then tailored his plane safety section around that, and it's just brilliant.
He's good.
Hats off to you, Pip. Really appreciate.
Exactly.
I tip my hat to you, my friend.
Yeah, he's busy flying now.
He is. In the air, all being well. Absolutely.
So I had a special delivery through the door just earlier.
Did you? Right. Yes.
And there we go. It's my latest copy of Airliner World magazine that's just come through my door.
Brace yourself.
Which I have. That's my Christmas present from my lovely wife.
Oh, was
Every
it?
year
Aww.
I have subscription to the magazine.
You do have a very well trained.
I know, and it makes for my reading.
Indeed, long-suffering Gemma, bless her. But anyway, yes.
Hello, Matty Fab.
Matty.
Good morning, Matty Fab. Yeah, he's in the chat room.
Yeah. Yes, I think what we should do now is time to do a little bit of military.
Yeah, we're going to do some military news, and then we're going to have a chat with Mila.
Yeah, absolutely. So if everybody is ready, then it's let's do the military section.
Let's go. So the first news story in the military segment this week is on Flight Global site. The headline, Boeing KC-46 test run complicated by C-17 refueling issue. The Boeing C-17 heavy cargo aircraft has become the sticking point in an otherwise speedy KC-46A aerial refueling demonstration phase, with officials confirming that higher than expected boom axial loads have delayed trials with that aircraft and the A-10 attack airplane. C-17 testing began shortly after the successful phase passage of fuel to a Lockheed Martin F-16C in January, but with the turbulent bow wave effects generated by two large aircraft flying in line, the refueling system indicated that the loads were too high to begin passing fuel. USAF Air Program officials explained in February interview that the fix could involve some software changes, likely parameter adjustments to the boom control laws. As of the 1st of April, Boeing had not fully solved the issue, and neither the company nor the Air Force could say if it will impact the upcoming low-rate production decision, which was expected to be this month but is now scheduled for May. A positive milestone C appraisal by the Pentagon, top acquisition executive Frank Kendall will unlock funding to buy the first 19 operational KC-46s over two lots for 7 and 12 aircraft. Any further setbacks will add to the schedule and cost overruns already incurred because of the faulty wiring of the initial batch of 767-2C configured aircraft.
Oh dear.
Late design changes to the refueling system, late parts, and the accidental contamination of the fuel system also didn't help with that program. During boom testing with the C-17, the Boeing and US Air Force Flight Test Team recorded higher than expected boom axial loads. And they explained this. Boeing are going to work on the fix, but they don't actually expect any delay in the program. But so the boom axial load. So we've got a picture there on the screen. Yep. So as you can see, you've got the KC-46 and the C-17. So the KC-46, which is based on the 767, refueling the C-17, and the boom axial loads, as you see where the boom extends from the KC-46 mat to the C-17. So it joins up with the C-17, then they pass fuel. Now the loads they're talking about are the sort of pressures being forced.
So we're talking about
on the boom.
We're talking about the sort of like the external air pressure forces while they're flying along.
No, it's basically, Matt, it's the load pressure that's on that boom.
Right.
So that boom is hitting the C-17 as such, and they're talking about the pressure exerted on that boom being too much for them to...
While it's flexing, essentially.
It's obviously going to not be good.
And so basically Boeing are working on a fix.
They're working on a fix,
right, okay.
I mean, so to be what they said, to be fair, it's a heck of an achievement to refuel a big wide-bodied 767 aircraft size like that to a big C-17 aircraft in mid-air. Both of those aircraft generate huge wake vortices between the two of them. So,
I mean, I've said before, it's one of the things that I genuinely can't get my head round is how they managed to do something so horrifically dangerous in the air. I mean, it's dangerous enough on the ground. I mean, it's just amazing the systems and that are involved. I'd love to learn more about that side of things. Actually, it fascinates me. Anyway, on to the next story, and this is Flight Global again, and the headline is France firms up order for 14 patroller UAVs.
Oh, a UAV story.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sagem has been contracted to supply its patroller system to the French Army as the service's new tactical unmanned air vehicle, some 2 months after Paris confirmed its selection of the type. Witnessed by French Defence Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian, Jean-Yves Le Drian, the contract signing between France's DGA procurement agency and Sagem's parent company Safran on the 5th of April firms up the provision for 14 patroller UAVs for the army, with operations to begin in 2018. Funding is controlled in France's 2014 to 2019 military spending plan and will see the patroller replace the Spectre UAV, also developed by Sagem. It will operate in the Army's 61st Artillery Regiment, which comes under the service's intelligence brigade. The DGA announced in February patroller had won the competition against the rival Watchkeeper system offered by Thales, and Paris is the first customer for the UAV despite Sagem's tireless efforts. The patroller drone won a hard-fought competition for this contract, the manufacturer said. Patroller is a surveillance UAV with a 20-hour endurance at 20,000 feet and can carry a 250 kilogram, that's 551 pound, multi-sensor payload that can be integrated into the body of the airframe or mounted in pods. Sagem leads a number of French companies in manufacturing the UAVs, plus German companies which supply the ES-15 frame for the patroller. I mean, it's a fascinating looking little machine. I'm just going to put that picture up.
It's pretty awesome, isn't it? It's got the camera there.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. It's a really great little thing, and that's I think certainly as far as the military is concerned, UAV is going to become bigger and bigger.
They've got 3 different types of these. They've got a patroller R, which is used for ground surveillance, a patroller M, which is used for maritime surveillance, and a patroller S for Homeland Security.
Oh, okay, cool.
These got a unit price of these for 20 million euros.
Right, lovely. I'll order one now.
Around about 22 million, $22.8 million for one of these. If you want to treat yourself to one for Christmas,
can't wait. Yeah. Maybe a little bit more expensive than the little quadcopter I was hoping for next year.
Have you got a little UAV yourself, Mila, or a remote controlled aircraft?
No, I don't. don't. I don't.
No.
Do you want one?
Would you like
I'm
one?
not so sure.
Oh, you not? Oh,
I'd
no.
rather prefer flying an
Oh,
aircraft. But I was just thinking, if it can carry a 250 kilogram load, then you could fit a person in there, and
That's
then
true.
it wouldn't be an unmanned vehicle anymore.
That's a good point. Yes.
Or we could put naughty people underneath and then drop them off somewhere.
You
when,
could drop,
yeah.
you drop them out of the sky onto sort of some kind of landing
Exactly,
strip somewhere.
exactly.
Yes, but anyway, enough about that. Yeah,
So the next story is this is Mila's one. This
it
one.
is indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, it's on Flight Global as well. And it's Kuwait places order for 28 Typhoons.
Oh, cool! I
So
love a typhoon.
Kuwait has confirmed its order for 28 Tranche 3 Eurofighter Typhoons, making the Middle Eastern nation the 8th customer for this type. The government of Italy and Kuwait on 5th of April finalized the contract, which will see the aircraft assembled at the Turin facility of Eurofighter partner company Finmeccanica, the commercial lead for the consortium on the deal. All 28 aircraft will be integrated with the Euroradar Captor E-Scan active electronically scanned radar array radar. The contract also covers logistics and operational support, plus training of Kuwaiti Air Force flight and ground crews in conjunction with the Italian Air Force, which also operates the type. Ground-based infrastructure required for the Typhoon will also be installed in Kuwait. So basically, they're getting the entire package.
Indeed. Yeah, I mean, great. I'm just going to bring the picture up. Actually, is a great
Of the
picture
Eurofighter
of the actual
Typhoon, yeah.
Eurofighter Typhoon. I said as the story was starting. I love the Typhoon. I've got a bit of a soft spot for the Typhoon. It's such an iconic aircraft, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the military side of things. It's just truly stunning.
I mean, they've ordered 28 of these. You
Yeah.
know, that's good news for for the manufacturer
Yeah,
anyway, that they're
absolutely.
getting orders for this
Yeah.
aircraft. Keeps
Indeed.
people
Oh,
in business.
and if you can tell on the picture, there's the steps on the side for the pilot to climb onto and out of the cockpit.
Oh, is it those?
Are they welded onto the side?
Are they welded?
Oh dear! I must say, I mean, I was listening to our show back because I'm a bit sad. And I do that sometimes.
I do it all the time.
And I was listening to Neville's feedback, and
Yeah.
even listening to that back now. I mean, some of those stories. I think actually, to be honest with you guys, if you do ever come across a story like that, where the media has inaccurately reported a story, like stupid things like stairs being welded to the side of an aircraft, please do ping it across to us either in email or on our Facebook wall or anything like that, because I'm sure Neville, who's collecting all these horrific stories, I'm sure would appreciate any help in these. Honestly,
I
you
think
do worry sometimes.
the biggest faux pas is pictures. You know,
Yeah.
the news companies will run a story.
Yeah, they'll
on
put a 737-800
on a
and put a 747 on or something like that. Yeah,
Exactly,
Yeah,
Matt.
yeah,
You know exactly right. Yeah, it is. Or they'll run a story on an A380 and there'll be a picture of a Cessna 150.
Yeah, right. Okay. I don't think they get it quite that wrong. But
You'd be surprised, Matt,
really,
you'd be surprised.
Really. I don't believe you.
So last
dear.
story and on Flight Global's, and it's a picture story as well, and it's an aircraft that actually we went on board at Riyadh last year, Matt.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, when I get down to the picture, you'll see. As well.
Okay,
We actually
it'll all
went on-
come flooding back.
We did. We went on board this aircraft.
Did we?
Actually, yeah.
I'm fine.
So the Royal Netherlands Air Force KDC-10 tanker has been certified to refuel the Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning II following flight trials at Edwards Air Force Base in California. The Dutch Ministry of Defence said this week that one of its two KDC-10 tankers, tail number 264, refueled the fifth-generation combat jet for the first time on March the 31st. Amsterdam plans to acquire 37 F-35s, with the first 8 due to arrive in the country by 2019. Certification comes as the MOD announces on the 7th of April that the F-35 will visit the Netherlands in late May or June for 3 weeks.
I remember it now. I can see the picture.
Demonstrations, because we left our camera gear on
We
there.
did. We had to go back for them.
Demonstration
yes.
flights are planned at the Royal Netherlands Air Force's... how do you pronounce this one, Mila?
The first one's Leeuwarden, and the second one's Volkel.
There we go. You heard it
you
there
see,
first.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. An accurate pronunciation on the Plain Talking UK podcast. Who could have possibly imagined such things as possible?
We'll have Mila as our translator.
I think we should, absolutely. Yeah.
The KDC-10, built by McDonnell Douglas in the late 1970s, is likely to provide tanking support during the journey. It can pass 1,750 litres of fuel per minute to fighter jets, says the MOD.
That's a great picture, isn't it?
And there we go. There's a picture there on the screen. Matt will pop that on there. And there we go.
I love it. Again, it's refueling. The science. I just can't get my head around it. It's just so bizarre.
So 2 Dutch aircraft are part of the Joint Strike Fighter Integrated Test Team at Edwards Air Force Base and are operated by the Royal Netherlands Air Force 323 Test and Evaluation Squadron. In February, Italy claimed the first transatlantic crossing of the F-35 type, an Italian-made aircraft that was helped cross the ocean by Rome's own KC-767 tanker. And there's an awesome picture here.
There
actually,
is,
Matt.
yeah,
that is pretty
from
cool.
above again, isn't it? So it's up and
top-down view there of refueling. Look
Isn't
at
that
that.
amazing?
That is a pretty awesome photo there.
That is absolutely.
But no, this is the aircraft that me and Matt went on board and we interviewed the pilot of this aircraft at the at Royal International Air Tattoo at Riyadh last year.
Yeah.
And
hopefully they'll be there again this year.
hopefully we'll go on board and not leave our camera equipment on board.
That would be less embarrassing, certainly.
We managed to leave our camera equipment on board the aircraft, but they gave it to us back. Nice. Yeah,
they did, yes. They didn't sell it for spares or anything like that. Yes,
no,
absolutely, which is all part of the fun.
So that's it for the military news. We, as you know, those of you in the chat room will know that we have a very special guest with us on the show this week, the lovely Mila.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello. So thank you again for helping us with the news today, Mila.
Well, I'm having a great time. I absolutely love it. So, again, thank you for having me.
No, pleasure. Pleasure is all ours.
Excellent. So, Mila, we're gonna ask you a few questions.
Yeah. So, if you've got any questions to ask Mila, then ping them into the chat room now. If you are watching live. Obviously, don't do that if you're listening to the podcast, because by the time we release it, it'll all be over. So,
so Mila, again, welcome onto the show. So, the first question we've got for you then is so go back to your younger years, which was only a few years ago.
Yeah, last week. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And where did your love of aviation start? Where did it all start for you?
Well, for me, it was basically I was 9 years old, and my dad took me on a flight to Scotland, where we were going to spend our holiday, and it was the first time flying for me, and just the entire ambience and the entire flight, that was really what did it for me. I don't know if we've got time for a little background story.
Yeah, go. Fire away.
All right, because on this trip, I was like little. I'm not very tall, but then I was tiny.
Carlos has a similar problem.
Yeah.
we went to Schiphol, and I'd never ever been there, but you have those long glass corridors that allow you to see the airplane's nose on. And when you walk down the corridor, you're actually at eye level with the cockpits. And we were waiting to board the plane. And the pilots with their crew behind them, they come walking down the corridor in full uniforms, with their hats on. And they enter the airplane. And I was standing at the glass window looking at them enter the airplane. And I waved at the pilots. And they waved back. And that was kind of the beginning for me, thinking, wow, this is so neat. And then it was before 9/11. So I asked while we were on the flight if I could maybe see the cockpit, and I was allowed to see it, and talked to the pilots for a little bit, and I was super impressed, and that was for me the moment that I thought, maybe if I grow up I could do this, and ever since it's been in the back of my head, and whenever I had to make a choice to pick subjects at school or get one step closer to that, I always made the choice to go for aviation. So that's it, basically.
So when did you when was what was the first sort of aircraft that you sort of got into, like, to fly? What did you learn in? What was your first sort of flight?
Oh, my first my first actual flight was in Arizona on a Piper Archer, and that was my first flight.
Piper,
So,
that's a low wing, isn't it? That's a low. Is that a low wing?
It's a low wing,
It's a low
yes,
wing, yeah,
and
yeah.
it has a fixed pitch propeller, so there's only a power lever and I forget the word. Never mind. And it's a fixed gear, so it's really really easy. And you just power 2 you go faster, and power back you go slower. That's it basically. So non-complicated aircraft, but a lot of fun.
How did
Great
you
little
How did you
airplane.
find all the license, the training for your pilot's license? How did you find that? All the studying?
It was great. It was a very diverse training for me because I did my PPL and my instrument training in the United States.
Oh,
And
wow.
then after that, I went to Portugal, where I did my CPL and my multi-engine. And then I came back to Amsterdam, where I started with my ground school training. But I came back there and I did my MCC there. And then I went to Oxford, where I did a jet orientation course.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So loads of stuff.
So what aircraft do you actually sort of? Is it type rated? Is that the correct term?
Yeah. it's
Yeah.
quite-
So what aircraft are you? Have you flown? What have you got?
Well, I started out with the little ones, so the Piper Archer initially.
Mhm.
And then for my instrument training, I flew the Diamond 40,
Yeah.
which is a glass cockpit. It's also a low-wing
very nice.
airplane.
Yeah.
It's really, really nice. Yeah, it's super. And then in Portugal, I flew the TB20 for a little bit, and after that I moved to the Seneca 5. And that's the same plane that Dr. Steph flies for her
Oh, wow.
multi-engine.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
really cool.
So
Yeah,
what?
and
So
then-
what? So what's the dream then when it comes to the aviation side of things? I mean, would you like to be flying sort of commercial aircraft and taking passengers and that, or is it just more sort of what I call social flying, where you're flying yourself about? What's the dream?
Well, I absolutely love to fly passengers and get that experience in. But my eventual dream would
Yeah.
be to fly the business jets, just
Oh,
the Gulfstreams and the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Citations, and those are just amazing. They're like a Ferrari, but an airplane, kind of like that. So
You'll have to go and fly with Pip.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've got a question in the chat room, one of the first ones in the chat room from Tony S. And the question is, do you think being a woman in a male-dominated profession has been a challenge?
there were moments when it has been a challenge, but generally people are super awesome about it. They're, most of them want to see more females in aviation. So when you show up wearing your uniform, they're all going to be super cool about it, and it's they're just great. I have had some instructors who thought that females should not be in the cockpit, but they're a
Really?
rarity.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, good, I think, is the short answer to that. That's not good.
And another one from Tony for you. What advice would you give to anyone who's just starting their flight training?
My advice would be to find an instructor that really matches your personality, because even though flying is very technical, there's also a very big part of it that's human interaction. And if you start out thinking, I'm going to go for the cheapest flights or the fastest routes, then you're really bypassing an important part of training, which is based on communication and trust and finding what works for you. So that would be my biggest advice. Go out there and fly with several different people and see who you really connect with and who, is able to teach you most easiest.
Efficiently.
Yeah,
Because you're going to spend so much time in the cockpit with this person. If you don't understand what they mean, or if there's a barrier there, then it's going to affect your flying time. So
What are the costs like, Mila, for flying? You're obviously you've got probably a local flight school, such as like what I've got here in the village I live. Actually, my flight school is literally 5 minutes away from Matt's house.
Yes.
So what are the kind of costs? Do you know roughly sort of an hour? Because I fly the 150 and the 172, the Cessna. I just wonder what your hourly costs are like there over where you are.
Well, the flight school I go to here to keep up my flying, I fly the 152 and the 172 as well. They include gas prices and landing fees in their hourly rate. And I pay about 180 euros for the 152 and 220 euros for the 172.
So it's roughly
about the same.
About the same.
Yeah,
as it
it's
is
about
here
the
then,
same as
yeah.
we pay here in the UK. Yeah, I was quite surprised. I thought it would probably be cheaper where you are, but it is about the same.
Well, I do know that in Germany, the landing fees are a lot lower than in the Netherlands because there are a lot of taxes on the landing fees and extra costs on the landing fees. So if you go to a different airport than where you regularly fly at, you're going to pay the landing fees, and they can be quite high in the Netherlands.
Right.
And Germany is a lot cheaper in that regard.
But
So-
I expect that you've got some lovely scenery there where you fly, I'd imagine. When
Absolutely.
You're flying. Yeah, I bet it's great.
Mhm.
Awesome.
But in the Netherlands, general aviation flies at 1,500 feet
Okay.
usually, so that's really, really low, and it makes for tricky navigation.
I bet.
I prefer to fly up at like 3,000 or 4,000 feet to get a little overview.
Yeah.
But in the Netherlands, that's not that common, and I guess you'll have to practice a little more then.
Yeah. Masha was just saying in the chat room there. Had a question for you? Have you ever done any flight instructing, or would you like to do fly instructing?
I'd absolutely love to do that. I haven't yet, but I think it'd be great. Yeah.
I can't think of anything worse personally. It's just like I'm bad enough in an aeroplane when the person in the seat actually knows what they're doing. I can't imagine what it must be like for some of these instructors when you go out for your first ever lesson. I can't even, the whole taking off and think I can't even get my head around it. Oh,
Talking about
But the entire airplane has dual controls on everything.
right.
So-
A bit like in
a
a car then.
car,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
cast your mind back, Mila. Can you remember your first solo? The first time you flew solo?
Yes, because I started doing my solos during a time where the weather wasn't that great, so
no.
especially the winds. So my first actual solo was a taxi to the run-up area and back.
Right. Okay. Good. Yes. Long
Because
distance.
I I was released for my solo while the winds were still okay, and I did all my procedures and checklists, and then I was doing my run-up. My instructor realized that the winds were far too where the winds were picking up and becoming gusty, and he said, "You're not going to go out there alone." So he called me back, and then a few days later, I was allowed to solo. So
Did it go okay?
And everything went fine.
It went fine, yeah.
Mm.
Was it a shock? Because it was for me when I done my first solo, and the less weight in the aircraft in the Cessna 150 that I flew made it climb rather faster than what it would
Absolutely.
do.
It was the same thing in the Piper Archer. All of a sudden, we were up at traffic pattern altitude in the United States, so circuit altitude, in seconds, and I was like, "Oh, I'm already there." I have to do my checks, and yeah, that definitely.
Apart from obviously the cost, because we all know, Matt knows this as well as me, that it's cheaper to learn to fly in the USA
Than it is here.
What's the flying like in the US? Because obviously the air is a lot more dense with aircraft, with GA aircraft as well as commercial aircraft and stuff. But is it easier, do you think, to learn to fly in the US than it is in Europe and in the UK?
Well, I flew in Portugal after I flew in America, so I can kind of compare the two. And what I found in the United States is that it's a lot bigger, so the airspaces also are very much bigger. And that gives you so much more time to, if you're navigating, to find places that you're looking for and prepare, entering a Delta airspace or entering a Charlie airspace. To contact them over the radio, and because things are further away from each other, you have a lot more time to set up your plan and start doing your navigation. So in the United States, it definitely was easier to fly VFR, for sure.
No, I don't. I think I'll stick to VFR flying. I don't think I'll go for the IFR rating.
Yeah.
It's enough with just the VFR stuff.
Yeah, I bet.
And,
I bet.
Yeah, I'll continue with that.
Yeah. So what's this? Micah's just asking, what are you CFI or are you working on that?
Well, that's basically what Masha asked as well.
Right.
If you got an instructor rating.
Right. I see. Sorry, that'll be the novice who doesn't know what he's talking about, reading a question inappropriately. Excellent.
So
well
Short's put in
Carlos, why don't
room.
you ask the questions?
Yes. Shortback is in the chat room. He's asked, how are the job opportunities for you right now over in the Netherlands?
Well, they are actually picking up. Since last year, this year, you can really see a growth in the amount of opportunities. For example, Norwegian is starting to hire, Ryanair, EasyJet, Wizz Air. Wizz Air have got some hourly requirements that you need to be able to provide. But those opportunities, they are increasing. So I'm really looking forward to, getting on that first job and going out there and flying.
Yeah, I bet.
Wow. Given the choice, Mila, what airline would you love to fly for over in the Netherlands? What airline would you pick out of EasyJet and Norwegian and all the other airlines? Who would you like to fly for?
Well, Transavia is a very good employer, so that would be super, super awesome. But I also really like the EasyJet program, the females program, the Amy Johnson program, where they're trying to increase the number of females in their airline. So that would be super awesome as well. And I think those two company policies or values are great. So yeah.
Yeah, Stuart was asking, what part of the world would you most like to fly in? So if you could fly in any part of the world, where would you? Yeah. Any region in the world, where would you love to fly?
If on my eventual dream flying, I'd be flying in New Zealand. But that's just like a dream scenario.
Yeah.
I think America makes for great flying. I think Europe makes for great flying. I haven't been to Asia or Africa yet, and you hear a lot of stories about those regions, but I'm not sure if those are all valid. So,
how about Alaska with the snow?
What's that?
Alaska. How about Alaska with the snow?
That would be awesome. That would be super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So would somebody was asking, would you consider flying for someone like Ryanair as a private contractor? I think I don't know if I could do that. It sounds a bit brave and frightening.
Well, I have quite a few classmates and schoolmates that do that, and from what I've heard from them, they're very positive about it because they can make loads and loads of hours.
Yeah.
And even though you have to take care of your own social support or file your own taxes and all those things, you have to take the administration.
Yeah, you're sort of what we call self-employed here in the UK. So you have to look after your own tax. You're not working for the airline, if you like. You're just sort of subcontracted. You have to invoice them and that sort of thing.
Yeah, but from what they've told me, it's doable.
Right.
So yeah, if you get the chance to really quickly build up your hours and gain that experience and go to loads of different airports, then. Yeah, sure.
And I think that's the key, isn't it? With flying in general, it's all about the hours, isn't it? It's that the hours are the key, and if that means that you're working self-employed, if you like, but you are at least getting the hours in, then that seems to be the key, doesn't it? Because they're going to be more. If you are going to go for a job with, say, I'm using Delta or Virgin Atlantic or any of them as an example, the more hours you've got in your logbook, the more interested presumably they're going to be. What hours have you got under your belt so far in your logbook?
I've got 266.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, magic.
Actually, Matty Fab in the chat room has asked if you can remember, Mila, how many hours did it take you till you went solo?
Ooh.
I think it was about 13-ish, 13, 14 maybe. So yeah. Pretty soon after starting.
That was quick, yeah.
But that was also the requirement on the syllabus.
Yeah.
So during the training, we had several moments where you just had to pass your your exams or your flights, your missions, to be able to continue your training at all.
Yeah.
So Marcia in the chat room has asked, tell us about the job at Eindhoven you mentioned on Slack.
Yeah, I am starting a new job. So I'll be having 2 jobs now. I work for an insurance company, but that's just administrative. And I'm going to start working at Eindhoven Airport, which is pretty close to me where I am. And I'm going to be doing the turnaround coordination. So an airplane comes in and it has to get everything off of it and onto it. And I basically, what they call it is dispatcher.
Yeah.
But the term is a little bit confusing. So
I think that's what they call it at Gatwick and stuff. They call it a dispatcher.
That sounds awesome.
It does.
That sounds really, really cool.
I'm really looking forward to it. This week I've got my initial training. So, we'll see.
Oh, good luck with that.
I'm very excited.
Good luck with that.
Okay.
Wow.
Unfortunately, we're sort of reaching a point where we need to wrap up. But we always ask this question, and so we need to ask it now. If you could fly any aircraft in the entire world, either flying now or flying in the past, what would be the dream aircraft to sit in the cockpit and take up in the air? What would you most love to fly?
I would really love to fly the Citation X. That's one of my absolute favorites.
Now, I don't know that. What's that? Tell me about that.
It's a really cheap aircraft, Matt. Yeah,
is it? Why don't I believe you? Yeah. Cheap in what sense?
It's a Cessna Citation X. It's kind of a business jet.
Oh, right. Cool, yeah.
But it's sort of a long-range, medium-sized business jet. It's actually powered by Rolls-Royce engine, which is quite smart.
Yeah, no, we
but
like
it's one of those. It's similar, slightly to, I suppose, the jet that Pip flies.
Right. Okay.
For Safe Jet.
Okay.
It's a quite a nice business jet.
Right.
You're kind of talking about the big pop stars, the kind of things that fly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, what I like about the business jets is that you get to fly really random fields and random trips. And they can land at relatively short runways, landing strips, so you have a lot more options available. Yeah, and that's what makes flying them very interesting.
You can fly sort of more or less anywhere, can't you? I mean, you could sort of, because you need just a small runway to land, as you say.
Just to give you an idea, the Citation X has a top speed of 972 kilometres an hour, which converted to miles an hour is 603 miles an hour.
Wow, that's quite quick.
Which is fairly quick.
It's quite quick. Doesn't hang about then.
Doesn't hang about. No.
Absolutely.
So, just the last question then, Mila. So, what's your plan? What are your big plans for the future? What have you got, ready to go for the future?
Well, I've finished my training, and I would really just like to land that first airline job, or just any job in flying to really build that hours, because I've got 266, and to get your ATPL and frozen you need 1,500. Wow. So that's a gap I'd really like to bridge and just narrow, get the experience, go out there and fly for a living. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be Carlos's dream as well. To be
fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
That and win the lottery to pay for it.
So what hours have you got in your logbook so far? What are you up to?
What am I up to now? God blimey!
Just a ballpark figure. I'm not expecting precise numbers.
I think I've got 29 or 30 hours.
Wow, yeah.
About 30. Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's about 30. No, 31, 30. Yeah, 30 or 31 hours in the book now. Yeah.
Yeah, so getting there.
Getting there
a little
slowly.
way to go, yeah.
I've actually got a lesson booked for next week.
Have you?
Tuesday, I'll be flying Tuesday. Weather permitting, obviously, because the weather plays a huge part in the flying here.
Well, as I say, thanks ever so much, Mila. It's been great to chat to you. We've got a couple of items that we still need to do. We're going to do we've got some listener feedback coming in just a moment. But before we do that, we thought we'd do our usual rundown of the air show news.
Yeah, so we've got the air shows for this month, the date today being, what are we on? It's the 9th today.
Isn't it? 9th of April.
So we have got one today.
Going on
today.
It's
on today. It's at the Aeronautica Cotswold Picnic Gas down in Wiltshire.
Yep.
In the UK on the 17th, which is Sunday.
Yeah, 17th of...
It's the big one.
Of April. It's the big one local to us anyway. It's the Wings and Wheels 2016. That's at Old Buckenham Airfield in Norfolk, NR17 1PU. So we're inviting our owners of classic cars and aircraft to come and have a look. We'll have a variety of food on offer at Jimmy's Cav. How exciting.
And on Saturday the 30th of April, a special one for Mila, it's the Ladies Fly-In Day.
Hey.
And this is at Bodmin Airfield in Cornwall.
Oh, lovely part of the world.
And it's Bodmin Airfield presents a Ladies' Day Fly-In. And they invite all ladies to fly into the airfield, whether they're aviators or not.
Indeed.
And have a nice bit of tea and cream tea and afternoon cake and stuff, which is rather nice.
Indeed.
So on Saturday the 30th?
Indeed, Saturday the 30th, it is the Bronco Fan Day UK. That's in Gloucestershire, or Cotswolds Airport, Kemble in Gloucestershire.
And on the 1st of, or Saturday the 30th
and Sunday the 1st
of May is the Atomic Vintage Festival, and that's at Sywell Aerodrome in Northamptonshire. And that's 2 days packed with loads of rock and roll music, vintage stalls, and a few aircraft flying around, displays and stuff in an enormous, huge hangar with 6,000 square feet of dance floor, and also a pre-1963 car show there as well, which is quite cool.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
So that's for April anyway.
There are still little air shows going on, which is great. As I say, because I said before, I'm really quite nervous of these changes, which I understand why the changes have been made, obviously, because last year was not a great year for air shows and aviation in general. But it's nice to see that at least some of the smaller air shows are still going ahead, which is great.
So we have got some listener feedback.
We have, yep.
And this is sent in from Jenny Parkinson, sent us in some voice feedback.
Yep.
And we're going to play it for you right now.
Hello, this is Jenny in Rome. I'm just sending you a little bit of audio feedback. I couldn't resist your request for some feedback on the Facebook page. And while I was reading the monthly Italian Aeronautics and Space magazine, JP4, this month, among its various very interesting articles, there was a little piece, rather a curious piece, entitled Ejector Cabin. Anyway, I've sent you a photograph by email so you can have a look at it. And if you look on YouTube as well, there's actually a little video about it. Anyway, the translation of the article, it's quite short, it is this. It says, the Ukrainian engineer Vladimir Nikolaevich Tatarenko has proposed a plan for an airliner with a detachable passenger cabin. In the event of an accident, the cabin can be expelled or ejected from the rest of the plane and descend to the ground attached to parachutes, thus saving the passengers. In the lower part of the cabin, there are inflatable rubber tubes that blow up and can cushion the impact on landing or allow it to float if it lands on water. It's not clear, however, in the event of an accident, what will happen to the pilots, ... And that's the end of the article. I thought it was interesting because the Airplane Geeks had an item quite a few episodes ago now about the Cessna planes that have parachutes. You can have a parachute option, and it's a really good idea. It can save your life in a squeeze, let's say. As I said, you can see a video of this on YouTube if you look for Tatarenko ejector cabin or something like that. Rather an alarming video, to be honest. And just to finish up with, and this is especially for Matt, I noticed, and I read in fact later on the Ryanair blog Into the Blue, that on Ryanair airplanes there is one seat that's positioned so that there's no window next to it. And so if you don't want to look out of the window, you should take that seat, and then you can just sort of lean up against the wall and go to sleep, basically. But in any case, you don't have to look out of the window. This seat is, pens and papers at the ready, please. This seat is 11A. So if you're travelling with Ryanair and don't want to look out of the window, or just want to have a nice snooze, 11A is the one for you. Okay, well, I won't be in the chat room tomorrow because I have to go to work, unfortunately, but I'll be thinking of you all, and I'll be listening to the podcast afterwards. Bye!
And thanks for that, Jenny. As always, thanks for your feedback.
11A.
I know. We'll have to.
11A.
Matt's written that
Yeah,
one
I have.
down.
I've literally written that down on a bit of paper.
He saved it on his
absolutely.
Ryanair app.
Actually, I'm just gonna run this because she alluded to a video.
We've got the video.
during that,
We have
so
actually got the video.
I'm just
going
to try. I don't know if it'll work because I'm doing it in a slightly unusual manner, but we'll give it a go. Here we go. You'll get the gist of it. Of what she was talking about. So this is the little thing that she was talking about: aircraft in capsules, where you sort of load the. I mean, it's very impractical and unviable, as I think it was mentioned in the chat room. But what an amazing sort of quirky type thing. I love it. You sort of do it as pods. I love it. It's brilliant.
Escape capsules for aircraft.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This is quite interesting. Here we go, Matt. Here we go. We're flying along. Oh, we've had an engine failure.
Yeah.
Oh, so we just immediately eject the passenger compartment after
Okay.
an engine failure.
Right. Okay. Seems a bit drastic. And as I said, what happens to the pilot?
That's the worrying thing there. The pilots are still in the flight deck.
Absolutely. We obviously don't worry about them, do we? Anyway, yeah. So it's thanks for that, Jenny. Please, guys,
look at that. They land in a lovely grass. And did you see the other
pods,
apartment crashing?
Oh right.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. Oh, it lands on water.
Look
there
at that.
Go.
Look.
Yeah. The inflatable things. It's a bit bizarre, isn't it? Let's be honest.
I mean, the idea is good. I suppose.
But how practical is it? Let's be honest. Yeah, so apologies, guys, if you're listening to that in the podcast. That whole section probably didn't make a great deal of sense to you, but the show is available to watch on YouTube. It is www.youtube.com/planetalkinguk, and you'll see episode 107 there, where you can sort of scroll through to this bit that we were just talking about.
So Matty Fab has just written, he's in the chat room on YouTube watching us at the moment. Matty Fab has put, maybe it's an escape capsule for the pilots when there are terrorists on board, or drunken Hindus.
Oh yes, now there's an idea. Absolutely, I like that. Yeah, absolutely. Abort. Yeah.
So that's where we're going to bring the show to a close. Episode 107 of the Plane Talking UK podcast. We'd like to say a massive, massive thank you to our very special guest, Mila, for joining us this morning. You've been
absolutely brilliant.
You've been an absolute legend. Thank you so much, Mila.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. No. I mean, you guys invited me, so thank you.
An absolute pleasure. An absolute pleasure. You've been a real star.
I know. No, we've loved having you on the show, Miley. You've been great to chat to, and I'm sure everyone in the chat room has enjoyed having you on the show as well. And we actually had a few comments in the chat room, Mila, that everyone said that we should have you on more often.
Yes, this won't be the only time we have you on the show. I think so. No, well done. I know you were
hope so.
You were so nervous at the start, and you've done really well. So well done. It's not the easiest thing to do. People don't realise it can be quite difficult. This podcast rubbish.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely. He says anyway. On that bombshell, it is. Hello.
Don't forget.
He's pointing at
don't
me.
forget. Don't forget, guys and girls, everyone who is listening to the show via YouTube or the audio show, downloadable show, next Sunday, we'll be recording the episode 108 live. So it's next Sunday, not Saturday. So keep your eyes on Facebook for the links and stuff for when we're going to broadcast next Sunday. And where can people find us, Matt?
Yes, as always then, the usual places to find us. Go to our website. It's www.planetalkinguk.com. Please send us your audio feedback. We love getting emails and audio feedback in general, or just an email if you're not up for recording something, and we'll read it out. It is podcast@planetalkinguk.com. You'll find us on Facebook at facebook.com/planetalkinguk, and our Twitter handle, it's @planetalkinguk.
So make sure you do get in your feedback. Send us in your voice feedback, as Jenny done. She sent us a little MP3.
And, of course, Mila has done before as well.
Yeah, and Mila sent us in the feedback as well. Yeah, you did.
Absolutely.
Yes, you certainly
it's
did.
All part of the fun. We love it because it's great because we like to hear our listeners. It's great because it makes us, you get fed up of listening to us day in, day out. So it's nice for everyone to get a break from us all, frankly. So, yes, it's time to bring
wrap up episode 107 to a close.
Absolutely, yeah.
Once again, thanks, Mila, for joining us and taking time out your busy Saturday morning for joining us, and have a great weekend.
Yeah.
Well, you too, guys.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a blast. I had a lot of fun, and hi to everybody in the chat room. So.
Fantastic. So from all of us here in the studio, it is a very, very excitable. Goodbye.
Goodbye.